The entire world is discussing the COVID 19 and coronavirus and how it is being tackled across the world. One thing everybody must appreciate that the world leadership is trying very hard in containing this particular disease in its tracks. Last 2 3 months, this leadership is working day and night and trying to do anything and everything that is humanly possible to avert the further damages. Damages in terms of the loss of human life, the damages in terms of the loss of economy, and of course, to maintain the continuity of human life. However, it appears that in spite of all these efforts, in spite of visionary work by this world leadership, there is immense damage that has inflicted by this virus on this planet. As of today, that's on 26th of April 2020, as many as 2.9 million people are affected, and about 200,000 people have died because of the disease. If you take the economic superpower of the world, USA, probably close to a million people have been affected and more than 54,000 people have died. And this is in spite of the supremacy in terms of technology, supremacy in terms of the medical science, and of course, all the knowledge, technology that is at the disposal of this economic superpower. In fact, many other countries like Spain, Italy, France, Germany, China, India are also equally affected. And therefore, this is unprecedented kind of pandemic that has emerged in the world, and world is struggling to come out of it. We really should be thankful to the world leadership the way they are tackling it. We should support them. We should appreciate their work. We should appreciate their efforts. And their efforts are really praiseworthy. In fact, their leadership during this time of crisis has made so much impact that probably in their own words, the things could have been much worse. Like one leader from a country is on record, and he has said that had he not done what he had done, probably millions of people would have died. And I'm referring to a very senior person of a country. He's right. Probably if this leadership at the international level had not done what they had done, the catastrophe could have been much worse. And therefore, we all should be thankful to this leadership. However, having said that, and also on the background that we consider ourselves to be the repository of entire knowledge on this planet, the most intellectual species on this planet, and we are capable of tackling anything and everything in the 21st century. We have seen three great industrial revolutions. Now we have embarked upon the fourth industrial revolutions, which would be fueled by artificial intelligence and robotics and genomics and whatnot. And then probably we are going to go to such an extent that according to some of the estimates that by 2045, death will be optional. So much progress has been made, and we expect that much more progress would come very soon. Having so much of experience and so much so of technology, then why we are not able to tackle this particular virus? Why we are not able to avert the deaths that have been uh, occurring every day across the planet? Maybe we need to think on this a little differently. While praising the international leadership, we may also take a review or audit that what could have been done differently. And since we are the most intelligent species, we call ourselves wise. We are having wisdom. Since we call ourselves Homo sapiens, sapiens is, as all of us know, is wise. We are very clever. So, in spite of this cleverness, in spite of this wisdom, in spite of a lot of experience, in spite of 150 years of technology that is at our disposal, this virus is trying to control the humanity. It's not that such epidemics or such pandemics have come for the first time. Many such pandemics have visited this planet on and off. And to avoid this kind of disasters, world has been taking some steps for quite some time. If you take a small review, the cholera that occurred, cholera epidemic in Europe, that occurred in 1827 and 1840. On that background, in 1851, international health regulations 1851 were conceptualized. That was on the background of what should be done by the world leaders, by the nations, to minimize the damages caused by such pandemics. And of course, those were to be implemented. And the spirit of these regulations, official regulations, was that there have to be combined, coordinated efforts at the global level. That was the answer to it. And of course, after the First World War and Second World War, world changed quite drastically, and new international institutions came into being. One of which was, of course, creation or establishment of World Health Organization in 1948, and that formalized the world's passion for doing something to avoid pandemics across the world. That gave the organizational structure. There were too many efforts, too many regulations that came in between, but the last omnibus comprehensive regulations came in 2005. International Health Regulations 2005 were brought out, and these were designed to avert any kind of damages that would cause to humanity because of pandemics. Of course, later on, swine flu came, this epidemic came in some of the countries. It also was like a pandemic at one point of time in 2009. Then Ebola came, Zika virus came, and all such things were supposed to be tackled under these International Health Regulations 2005. I believe that the same regulations could have been used for tackling COVID-19 also. While praising the world leadership, let us understand as humanity what could have been done differently. It's just as an academic exercise. Let's discuss it as an academic exercise, and then probably in the future we could have different thinking also, like how things could be tackled differently. When the COVID-19 or coronavirus attacked Wuhan province in China, the world came to know about this. that something is happening in China, news started spreading that a new virus for which there was no vaccine or any medicine that was effective that could be used against this virus and could be used as a treatment. So, unlike H1N1 or swine flu, where oseltamivir was one such effective medicine, here there was no medicine since it was a completely new virus. And so far, there are no such effective medicines or vaccines that have come into the market or they are being used anywhere in the world, except for few efforts of making use of some existing medicines like hydroxychloroquine or many such smaller different types of medicines. But no effective remedy has been found as yet. So when the virus visited Wuhan, probably sometime in December, then world started taking notice of it. The World Health Organization was also monitoring it. They have the monitoring mechanism. And I think there are 196 member nations of World Health Organization. They are supposed to be together doing something about this kind of occurrences or these kind of diseases or these kind of pandemics. After studying the movement of this virus within China, especially at Wuhan, World Health Organization on 30th of January 2020 declared that this is international health emergency pandemic, and that is coming out of the International Health Regulation 2005. So it is somehow a statutory warning to the world that COVID-19 or coronavirus is likely to spread, likely to cause damage, and it is World Health Emergency. Now, what does that mean? Once the WHO flags it as a world emergency, international emergency, I believe that the world leadership should have woken up suddenly, immediately, and probably have discussed in the first week of January itself by coming together, having meeting, or through whatever means like video conference or whatever, but they should have reacted it as an emergency measure. Did it happen? I do not know. Probably it has not come in the public domain that this actually had happened, and it could have been reported also. But going by the media reports, I don't think there was any conference of the heads of the states had taken place anywhere to tackle this particular thing. The the international health regulations do provide that when there is such an emergency, then there have to be coordinated efforts of the nations, of the members, of the member nations of the WHO. This they did not do it. So probably the world leadership could have congregated together and decided how to stop this menace from spreading across the planet and how to restrict it to China. I consider that since it was not done, it was a first major systemic failure. Was it difficult? I don't think it was difficult, because every year most of these heads of the states, presidents, prime ministers, they gather at Davos as an annual ritual to discuss economic health of the world, and of course, which is convened by World Economic Forum. That World Economic Forum is a private body. It's not even United Nations body. Here, United Nations body, WHO was there, world body was there, official body was there. They could have forced WHO that organize such meeting somewhere and let's discuss it threadbare how to stop this virus in its tracks. I think non-implementation of the provisions of International Health Regulation 2005 was the major failure of the world leadership. This probably is the one single factor that has brought the world to this extent, to this phase of complete economic failure, complete uh, uh, complete disruption of human life, at least for some time. Why they did not do it, there are no answers. But that should have been done, and especially on the background that we have got so much of experience. Where in 21st century we have got very statesmen like of leadership in the world. They're all enlightened people leading their nations, and therefore they could have definitely thought about how to save lives of the people. It's not a simple thing. It is not a very small matter. It's you are doing it with the lives. Since you are already every year you are meeting at Davos for the World Economic Forum, you could have met for this also, but that was not done. And then we are in the situation the way we are today. This was number one. Number two, okay, that was not done, but then at the national level, at the country level, we try to save every life. We at least make efforts, attempts to stop, to save every life, to put up the kind of systems in place to avoid any loss of life. When Wuhan was flaring up, that time the world leaders could have, under the leadership of WHO, stopped all international traffic, airlines and steamliners, ocean liners, ships. If this one single step, if it had been adopted, I think we could have averted the human life damage and of course the damage to the society, which was not done. So this probably was the major failure of international leadership, to ignore international health regulation 2005 and not to stop international travel across the world. Then if that was not done at the national level, they could have quarantined the incoming passengers, especially passengers coming from China or affected countries, and then quarantine them at locations. There could be hundreds of thousands and not in millions and billions of country population. Small fraction of a population could have been managed well, kept in quarantine for 15-20 days, and then later on they could have been assimilated in the society when found to be healthy. This was not done. This was the major second failure. Had these two things been done, then lockdown would not have been necessary. Today, lockdown is the only remedy. There is no second remedy. Social distancing, lockdown, sealing, these are the same, the facets of the same singular thing. Different facets, but that's the only thing. The world could have locked down the virus within China itself, and the world could have progressed further. Its economy would have continued to progress. The loss of life could have been averted, and then we would not have been the maze in which the maze that we have created, that is today. So therefore, it's not that nothing could have been done. Something could have definitely been done. Of course, that requires vision. In 21st century, we have leaders of vision. Why they did not do it, I have no answer to this. Probably all of us have to come together and analyze why it's such a visionary thing. Why instead of locking down the entire planet, why the virus was not locked down within China itself by stopping airlines or international travel, number one. Then within the countries, why incoming passengers were not quarantined, and why the entire countries were inflicted with lockdowns and disruption of economic, disruption of life, and of course loss of life. the future generations are going to ask these questions. Whatever the future generations, but one thing is very sure, one thing is very critical, that we need to be very careful here afterwards, because this is not the first and last virus that has disrupted the life of this planet, disrupted the economy of this planet. There could, many more such challenges would come in the future, and therefore we have to have leadership so sensitive so that they can visualize what is going to happen. They have to also access the existing regulations. They have to also design futuristic regulations and see that the human life systems are not disrupted, economic systems are not disrupted, and we, as a wise species of this planet, behave in a very, very responsible manner. I think that needs to be done. Thank you.